the thought that come into my heart this week, and I've been trying to study it a little bit, and it can go a long ways or it can go quick. So there's so much involved on what I'm going to try to speak on, but I hope we can glean some truths from what scriptures that have gone the mind and the heart. In Psalms 124, verse 8, says, "Our help is in the Lord, who made the heaven and the earth." Our help is in the Lord. That's what we'll look at about help this morning. Somebody define help for me.
Assistance.
Assist. If you assist somebody or
In any way.
you aid them, in any way you help them there. We all, every one of us need help from time to time. I have many times I've called on people to help me, or I've tried to help somebody else. I walked out on my patio one day, and it's been probably 3 or 4 years ago now, and I heard something say, holler, "Help! Help!" I immediately heard a woman screaming, and I jumped in my Jeep and run around the block where it was at, and I heard, "Help!" And it was a parrot, a big, tall parrot. Hey, but it sounded like a woman screaming, for help. And I didn't know, but I think if you take his cover off, I think they cover him up at night with something, and somebody forgot to take his little hood off the cage, and he was on the patio, "Help!" Wouldn't that get your attention?
Yes.
It got mine. And then it's probably been 3 weeks ago, I was a recipient of somebody that needed help, and I mean help bad. I told Brother David about it, but I've been laid up for a while, and I had cancer and all, and the doctor told me don't ride your motorcycle or bicycle, because it's not good for you, till you get healed up better after all the radiation and everything. Well, finally, I asked the doctor the other day when I went, I said, "Is it all right for me to start riding the motorcycle?" He said, "Yeah, you can do it now." And so I went home, started cleaning my motorcycle up, got it all, you know how motorcycles are, don't you, Brother Chris?
Yes, sir.
I got it all cleaned up. Brother David helped me adjust the clutch on it and so forth. And I got it ready, and I decided, well, I'll run a test drive. And I rode it in the yard, and I wanted to get it in other gears other than first gear. And long story short, I had it ready to go. And I take it out, open the gate, go down the street, change the gears, and it runs good. Everything's hunky-dory, ready to go riding. And I was turning, and as I was turning, I slowed down probably less than 2 miles an hour. And a old brown dog, come out and hit my front tire and jacked my handlebars around, and I couldn't hold it, and I fell. And I got pinned under the motorcycle on my leg. I got scars all over it, and my elbows, my head, and everything else. But bottom line is I needed some help. And a guy, I won't call his name, I don't know his name, to be honest with you. Anyway, he come up to a stop sign, which was right at where I was pinned at, under the motorcycle. And he saw, I said, help me get this over. He took off, didn't even help me. Does that remind you of anybody else, in the Bible? Well, we get to that maybe before a minute. But another guy come along in a white truck, big old heavy set guy, and he picked it up, and I took my foot that wasn't under the motorcycle and helped push it up and got it going. And thank the Lord, fell on me on the right side as it was going to fall, because the other side was exhausted. What would that do to you? It would fry you. I mean, but the Lord was with me, and I got thinking about, I need this help. Well, the Lord is our help, as we read in Psalms 124:8. Our help is in the Lord, the name of the Lord, and who made the heaven and the earth. The Bible is full now of different kinds of aid or assistance or help that comes from God, because God is our helper. Turn to 2 Chronicles chapter 20. I think this is a real good place to think about of a man named Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat realized that when they was to go against the war against the Amalekites, that Second Chronicles chapter 20, Brother David. Second Chronicles chapter 20. I want you to think about what these verses say. It said, it came to pass after this also that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon and with them other, besides the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle. He's fixing to have a battle, a war. Then there came, verse 2 says, then there came some that told Jehoshaphat, saying, there cometh a great multitude against thee from the sea on this side of Syria, and behold, they have Hazon and what Tamar, and which is Hingandale, which is hard to say. Verse 3 is what the point I'm trying to get at. And Jehoshaphat feared and set himself to seek the Lord and proclaim the fast throughout all Judah. Was that a good thing? Who was he putting first here? God. He put God first. He knew. So he proclaimed the fast and throughout all Judah, and Judah gathered themselves together to ask help. Ask what? Ask help of the Lord. They realized they needed help. Jehoshaphat was proclaiming that, excuse me, and it says, ask help of the Lord. Even all the cities of Judah, they came to seek the Lord. And then Jehoshaphat stood in the congregation of Judah and Jerusalem and the house of the Lord before the new court. So as he's getting ready for all this to happen, he was asking help of the Lord. Verse 4 says he needed help. Needed help. Verse 9, he says, if evil cometh upon us, the sword, the pestilence and famine, and we stand before this house and they present, for the name is in the house, and cry unto thee in our affliction, and thou wilt hear and what? Help. They knew that they needed, the only help was going to come from the Lord. Verse 15, here again is telling us about help from God, aid, assistance. They needed it. Verse 15 says, and they hearkened in Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem and King Jehoshaphat. Thus saith the Lord, be not afraid nor dismayed, the reason for this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but who? God. In verse 17, ye shall not need to fight in this battle. He's telling them, I'm going to be there with you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to aid you. I'm going to assist you. I'm going to help you. We, as your children, need help. If you study out that Chronicles chapter 20, which is very familiar scripture to us, the 4, 9, 15, 17, all them verses that say God is our help and he is going to help you. The first time he helped mankind, God helped mankind was when? In Genesis chapter 2. God made Adam a helpmate. Thank the Lord for helpmates. You realize, all us men realize how much, well, we might not admit it, but we realize that our helpmates is a gift from God. God helps us by giving us a helpmate. Could you do that, Sister Jane, real long?
Not long.
Be hard, but helpmates is wonderful. It's a blessing. It's a good gift from God. But in Psalm 60, 11 and 12, Brother David, read Psalm 60. We'll start with 9 through 12. We have troubles many times. What is it, Chris? Will you want to help me?
No, I said if anything happened to her, I'd be done anyway, because she knows all our bookkeeping and finance and all that stuff.
You'd be going, wouldn't you? Help!
Using the microwave doesn't qualify me as strong.
Yeah. Okay, Brother David, read 9 through 12. Let's think about, we have a lot of trouble sometimes. Trouble just comes from out of nowhere, don't it? It does for me. I don't know if it's y'all, but sometimes things be going smooth and all of a sudden I got big time trouble.
Beginning in verse 9, who will bring me into a strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? Will thou, O God, which hast cast us off, and thou, O God, which didst not go out with our armies? Give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through God we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies.
All right? Trouble. The disciples have troubles.
Yeah.
When they went out on the boat, went out on the ship there in Matthew chapter 14, I think it is, did they have big time trouble? They saw Jesus coming, and Jesus was going to fix them to help them. Matter of fact, he calmed the seas for them at one point. When Peter walked on the water, everything was going good. He was exercising his faith, and then troubles come. The water began to be boisterous. And problems started establishing, and they asked for help. How did he ask for help when Peter was walking on the water and started sinking? Can you imagine sticking your feet in a 4 foot and you start walking on water? I can't comprehend that. But that's what happened with Peter. He started walking on water. And if I did step off in 4 foot of water, it wouldn't be a slow going down. It'd be, you go under, wouldn't it? So he was walking on water, and then the sea began to be boisterous, and it said he was saying something there as he was going down, so evidently he didn't go down quick. He said, "Come to me," the Lord did. He did that part, but then he started sinking. So I don't think he went down fast, because he said, "Lord, save me, deliver me." He wasn't asking for eternal salvation there. He was asking not to drown or go under the water. And then the Lord said to him what? "Oh, you of little faith. Oh, you of little faith." Sometimes we have a little faith. I don't know if the Lord ever tell me to walk on water or not. Probably not. But if he does, I hope I keep my eyes on the Lord. I hope I look to the author and finisher of my faith and do what he says to do. But the Lord helped Peter, and he helped those in the storms. He helped Jonah in the storm. Do we need help? Yes, we need help. So give us help from trouble. That's what it says in Psalm 69, 11 and 12. Give us help from the trouble, for vain is the help of man. Will man let you down?
Absolutely.
Man. Tells us over in the book of Psalms, again, I think the 17th chapter, says, "Trust in no man." Why? Because we're going to let you down. Brother Harold McClooney, some of y'all remember him, I know, but most of you do, the State Patrol. He told me one day, he says, "Don't trust me." I said, "Brother Harold, I trust you. You're my neighbor, and you're a good neighbor, and we study together and all that." He said, "Brother Jerry, I'm going to tell you something." He said, "I'll let you down." And he did many times. And I'll let you down, because we're the men. A man, you can't trust a man. So give us help from trouble, Lord. And I'm putting that Lord in, because that's who we're talking about. For vain is the help of man. So through God we shall do valiantly, for he is, and he shall tread down our enemies. Who else comes to your mind that really needed some help?
Job.
All right, how was Job?
Again, he just had one knock after another.
Did he have trouble?
Mm-hmm.
All in one day. All in one day. He was one of the richest men that ever was. He was a very faithful man of God. He prayed for his children that if they had done anything wrong, that they'd be forgiven. He was a good man overall. He was a wonderful man. As a matter of fact, he's in the 11th chapter of Hebrews that teaches about Job as one of the, we consider as the heroes of faith. He exercised his faith. And in one day, the devil come to him and did all these bad things. The Lord now allowed this. Remember that. The devil couldn't do nothing unless God allowed him to do it. But he was testing him. And Job went through trials and tribulations and temptations and everything just like you and I would. And then that one day, he had boils, he lost his house, he lost his cattle, and he lost all his material possessions, and he was the richest man of one in the East. I think it's the East. Am I correct? Anyway, he was one of the richest men. But all that was took from him. God allowed Satan to do that. But then the Lord helped Job. He helped him. We need help. Our help is in the name of the Lord, who made the heaven and the earth. We got thinking about the battles, and we use him a lot, and I'm not going to emphasize but just one scripture that's mentioned about it. But David himself, he had all kinds of problems and troubles and situations and battles that come in his life. And this is one of the verses that really everybody will know it, and you need to meditate on it a lot. It says in Psalms 121, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills which cometh forth my help. My help cometh from who? The Lord. I will lift up mine eyes to the hills which cometh forth my help. My help comes from the Lord which made heaven and earth. Did that Psalms 124 say he's our Lord is our help in the name of, and who made the heaven and the earth in Psalms 124? Well, here again, he's telling us, my help comes from the Lord, which made the heaven and the earth. At night time, sometimes, I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I used to sail out of the bed and make 360s out of the bed. And sometimes I'd hurt myself. Matter of fact, I got a scar right there because I jumped out of bed. And it was at night time. I was trying to sleep. I was having nightmares, I call them. You ever have nightmares? Sometimes we eat too much or something just before bedtime, and we get we start having little nightmares. I'm bad about that. But even at night, when I'm trying to sleep or I'm already asleep, God is right there to help me. Right there. Listen to what it says, at nighttime God is our help. Psalm 63, verse 6 and 7, it says, when I remembered thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches, because thou hast been my help, therefore the shadow wing I will rejoice. Even at night, Jesus is watching over you. Troubled times happen in Job's life, happen in David's life, happen in troubled times in your life. I know I'm reading a lot of scriptures, but in Psalm 46:1 it says, God is our refuge and strength and very help in trouble. He's in any situation, our help is trouble. You remember when Joshua was out there and they was going, Moses was out there and they was going to battle again, they had big time problems. And you remember in Exodus 17, 9 through 12, I may read that, but I want to go ahead and tell you what's happening. Man is weak. The Bible tells us the spirit is willing, but the flesh is what? Weak? I think it's in Matthew 26:41, it says, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And Moses was just a man. They're like you, we are flesh. And they were going to battle, and as long as he held his arms and his hands up, what would happen?
Victory.
Victory. They would win over the battle. They would win the battle, wouldn't they? But man is weak, isn't he? And man needs help, especially from God. And as they was out there we used to call it piece, our guns in the Navy, we'd hold our piece out there, it probably weighs 7 pounds, rifled up, you know what you imagine? At least 7, 8 pounds. Hey, you could hold out pretty good. In boot camp, we was out there and all having a good time, you know, all us young, we were all young in boot camp. You know how young people are, it's all fun and games to start with. But that thing got pretty heavy, reckon. And after a while, what started happening? You won't get it back up there. And they made sure you got it back up there. You didn't have a problem listening to what the drill man was. He said, hold it. And if you didn't, you got to go to happy hour, right? You run it over your head for an hour. So you learn right quick, but I mean, you get the weaving, but we're weak and we're frail and we need help. And that, as long as Moses' arms was up and he was full strength, there wasn't no problem. But he was a man, he began to get weak, and they got Aaron and her, and they would help him. They got a stone put out there, and they put it up there, and they held his arms up, and they helped him. They would not have won the battle if they hadn't had some help. But Moses had some helpers. And I found out, I didn't know this, till I was kind of looking about her. We used to go to a movie called Ben-Hur. You know, anybody know? Well, they ain't no such thing as Ben-Hur. It's a movie fictitious name. And there's 3 hers that you can look at, and one of the hers was the one that helped Moses, and another her that was in the Bible, you can read up on him. But Moses and Aaron, Moses had her and Aaron to help him. That's the point I'm trying to drive. We need help sometimes. Moses needed his help. Listen to that, Exodus 17. It says, and Moses said, 17, 9 through 12. And Moses said to Joshua, choose us out men and go to fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses he had said to him, fought with Amalek. And Moses and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass, and Moses held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. In other words, they were winning. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. They began to. You see the picture here? And verse 12 says, but Moses' hands were heavy. And they took a stone and put it under him. And he sat there upon it. And Aaron and Hur stayed his hand, one upon the one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. He got help, didn't he? Well, God sent the help. That's who sent the help. God was in the matter. And Isaiah 41:10 says, fear not, I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am the God, I will strengthen thee, and I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. There's some help. God is our help. And then Hebrews 13:6 that we boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear what God will do unto me. God is our helper. There's a lot of other scriptures, I'm not going to go into too many more. Just the main point is our help comes from God. Asa got help from God. He cried to the Lord, and the Lord helped Asa. He was a king. And Asa even went against his, I think it was his mother or grandmother that had idols and so forth, and they tore them down. He was a good king, bottom line. He was a good king. Asa was a good king, and he asked help of the Lord. And the palsy man, who was in the New Testament, that man was born of 4. And I want you to notice something about this palsy person now. He said in Mark chapter 2, 1 through 5. Brother David, will you read that? Mark chapter 2, 1 through 5.
And again he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noised that he was in the house. And straightway many were gathered together, inasmuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them. And they came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born of 4. And when they could not come nigh to him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was, and when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay. And Jesus saw their faith. He said unto the sick of palsy, Son, thy sins be forgiven thee.
I want you to notice here, particularly this 5th verse, when Jesus saw their faith, these 4 men, or it says born of 4, which means it's 4. I don't know if it's men or not, but these 4 were carrying him to the house where Jesus was preaching and teaching, and the house was full, it said. And so they couldn't get in, so what they do, they go on top of the roof and knock a hole in the roof. When I was overseas, Jennifer and I were talking about it yesterday, a lot of the roofs were made out of clay. When I was in Italy and France and different places overseas, their shingles was made out of clay. So they were tearing these clay shingles up, and they took the man that had palsy and let him down with a rope, and the house was full of people. Not near one of them made an effort to help the man. But Jesus, when he let him down, Jesus healed that man that was born of the 4. And it says that their faith, all of them had faith in Jesus at this point. It wasn't just the palsy man. I'm sure he was saying, Lord, help me. And we need help. But that palsy man, it wasn't just him, but those that were born of 4, it says their faith is what brought him to it. And he was healed that day. And then you can go into many others. I'm not going to go to the rest of them. I got 2 or 3 more things that I could say. But the main point is we need help. And our God is our help. It don't matter. It says in 124 again, verse 8, our help is in the name of the Lord who made the heaven and the earth. Help! We need help! Hey, think about it. We need some help. We as Christians need to put all our faults and God as being our helper. We need to think about what Christ has did and what Christ is still doing. He's still helping us every day. Anybody got anything you want to say?